Hello and welcome to the One Life Church devotional series where we cover the entire Bible in 20 months. Well, today's chapters are 2 Chronicles 7 and 8. And in chapter 7, we see the inauguration of the temple. A sacrifice is laying there on the altar, and then out of nowhere, out of heaven, fire consumes that sacrifice. Can you imagine being on duty on that particular day? Well, what happens is that the priests could not enter the temple. The people all knelt down on the pavement and prayed, and they began to sing this song, "How good is our God, and his love endures forever." And then Solomon proceeds to order the thousands and thousands and thousands of animals to be sacrificed on this particular altar. And then, the people went back with glad hearts. Worship had been reestablished in the temple. And the Lord appeared to Solomon at night and said this to him: "If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sin and heal their land." One of the most famous chapters, one of the most famous prayers in the whole Bible. God saying that if my people, if the Christians in the world today will humble themselves and pray and turn from their wicked ways and seek God's face, he will hear from heaven and he'll heal their land. I'm here on the top of Cape Town, overlooking the harbour, overlooking this great city. And we've just had elections here in South Africa. And I wonder if our church all over the country, the Church of Jesus, really intercede, really prayed, really sought God's face, whether there wouldn't be a dramatic effect in this land. We so often put our trust in politicians, put our trust in worldly systems. But God says, as surely as this wind is blowing across me today, that his Spirit will blow across the land and cause revival in the hearts of his people and change the fortunes of his land. Anyway, what Solomon does then is that he begins to build. And he builds a lot. He builds houses for his wives. He builds villages and cities for his chariots and his horses. And he conscripts labor. And he gets, the foreigners that are living in the land to become the workforce, and the Jews to become the supervisors. And he puts the system in place where he's establishing a nation and he's firmly developing it. But at this stage in his reign anyway, it is built on the premise that God's in charge, that the people need to center their lives around him. And so he even got, guys involved in the merchant trade and ships, and sent them off to go and bring gold, to bring them back to develop the land. You see a country thriving. And the reason that it's thriving is not because you've got a clever guy running it. The reason it's thriving is because the whole country is centered themselves around worshiping God and praying. And so I'm going to end a little shorter today and encourage you in your devotion today. Pray for your country. Pray for your leaders. Seek God with all your heart, and let's trust for him to break in and heal our land.